All right, let us stand for a word of prayer followed by the pledge. I have a volunteer to lead us. Okay, yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Blue.
Thank you for this day, God. Thank you for allowing us to see this day, God. The school board, God, to bless it, God. Give me to come up with witnesses that's going to benefit our school. God, we love you. We give you praise. Please and pray.
Amen. I will pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting today has been called to order, and welcome to the Monday, November the 2nd, 2020 school board meeting. First of all, we have one amendment to the agenda. Item 2.1, Policy 7100, Facilities Planning, will be added to the items for individual consideration, and it will be item 5.4. 5.4 for under items for individual consideration. All right, per the just for the record, members present or participants present, board members, Carol Gibson, Bart Alford, Reggie Daniels, and virtually or remotely, board members Susie Williamson and Ms. Sharetta Bell. And also participants present in the district office are Board Attorney Tommy Reeves, Superintendent Shirley Joseph, Mr. Isaac Goyette, Ms. Robin Hill, Ms. Becky Bishop, Dr. Travis Blue, and also Mr. Charles Metters. All right. Let's see, public comment. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Metters, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if this is working or not. My voice, I've been told I talk too loud anyway. I'm here to respectfully request that the school board consider naming Boot Hill Stadium John Bullard Field. I don't think there's a person in here that doesn't know or hasn't heard the name John Bullard. I grew up with him. I've known him for 65 years. Until his passing, we went grades 1 through 12 together and at North Florida Junior College at the time. I don't know how many years that John Bullard was, quote, the voice of the Cowboys, but he announced the home broadcast from the stadium. He's done a lot for this community. He was very well respected, and I think in honor of his passing that it would be great. Now, neither John nor myself played football, but we both played basketball and baseball. And not at the same fields, of course, but I respectfully ask that this be considered to show support for John Bullard's history with the school system, as well as support for his family. Any questions or comments?
Okay, any questions from Ms. Williamson, Ms. Bell? Did you catch?
I did. I did.
Okay. Would you all have
Yes,
any?
sir, I did.
Okay. Okay. Well, is that your presentation?
That's
Okay.
pretty much it. I
Okay.
can't plead the case but so long now.
Okay.
But he did a lot for this community and was very well known, well recognized, and I think it would be a true honor that the school board could bestow this upon his family and recognize him for what he has done.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, well, thank you.
All
for your
right, thank
input.
you.
Okay, thank you.
I might add, I know this, don't expect this to be an overnight decision.
Right.
But please give it some consideration.
Okay, all
Thank
right,
you.
noted. All right. Consent agenda items, do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and second, will there be a need for further discussion? All in favor, Ms. Gibson?
Approve.
Mr. Alford?
Approve.
Ms. Williamson?
Approve.
Ms. Bell?
Approve.
Also approved, 5-0. Consent agenda items adopted. Items for individual consideration. 5.1, permission to advertise student progression plan. Ms. Hill.
Good evening. Because of where we are this year with the coronavirus and changing our curriculum this year, we're seeking to change a few of the things in the student progression plan. I brought these up at the last meeting, but one of the things that we need to look at is the kindergarten report card. Because we're using a different curriculum, and it's not aligned to the standards in the format that we were using last year, we feel like we need to use a regular report card for kindergartners rather than the standards-based report card. This will be just for this school year while we're using the FLVS coursework, and then next year we'll go back to using a standards-based report card. One of the other changes that we're seeking is in the past, we have required students in grades K to 3 to pass, not just pass, but score a 70 or higher in all of the academic subjects. We're asking for, again, this year only, for that to just be a 70 in ELA and math. Because of the number of students that are struggling to maintain the 70 or higher in all 4 academic subjects, and the need to provide remediation to fill in for that gap where the students have missed, we would like to not require that 70 this school year for science and social studies for those grade levels, and allow those students to focus on trying to make up the difference in the language arts and the math classes.
Is there a requirement for the other subjects?
They would just, are you talking about for language?
Other than ELA and,
What we're asking is for it to be a 70 just for ELA and math.
right.
Not for that to include science and social studies this year.
So are they going to get graded on science and social?
They will get graded,
Okay.
but it won't factor into the promotion criteria.
Okay.
And that's just for what grades?
K to 3.
K to 3.
Yeah, since science is still tested at the 5th grade level, we did not want to do away with that requirement at 4th and 5th grade.
I don't have an issue with that because if you look at the report cards, I mean, if you look at their grades, statistically, the science and social studies are the
That is true.
higher across the board. When you're like looking at students in meetings or what, their work, it's usually the ELA and math are the 2 lower, so I don't have an issue with it.
I don't. And these are different times that we're going through.
Right, and this is just for
Yeah.
this school year. Next year, we would want to go back to, our previous promotion requirements.
It would still be the 70 for the reading and math, though.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And all we're talking about today is permission to advertise,
Correct.
They're not making a decision.
Right. Because it's a change to the student progression plan, we have to advertise that.
Okay,
Well, I make the motion to grant the permission to advertise the changes in the student progression plan.
Second.
all right, I have a motion by Mr. Alford, seconded by Ms. Williamson. Would there be a need for discussion? All in favor, Ms. Gibson,
Approve.
Mr. Alford,
Approve.
Ms. Williamson,
Approve.
Ms. Bell,
Approve.
and also approve 5-0, permission granted to advertise the student progression plan
Thank
and the
you.
changes with it. All right, 5.2, personnel changes.
Good evening, Brother Chair and everyone. As no personnel changes at this time.
Okay, for the record, no personnel changes. All right, 5.3, revisions to policy 5111.01, homeless students. Mr. Blue.
Have to have a public hearing for this policy at this time.
All right. All right, well, we'll open it up to the public on this portion of the 5.1 revisions to policy 5111.01. It's open to the public. All right, let the record reflect. There aren't any public present. So this portion of the meeting will be closed to the public. All right, so we just vote.
So you just need a motion to
Okay,
approve or.
motion to approve
The policy.
the policy, policy 5111.01. Do we have a motion to?
I'll make the motion to approve policy 5111.01, homeless students.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion in a second, and do we have a need for discussion? All in favor, Ms. Gibson?
Approve.
Mr. Alford?
Approve.
Ms. Williamson?
Approve.
Ms. Bell?
Approve.
I also approve 5-0, the revisions to policy 5111.01 has been approved and adopted.
Thank you, Brother Chair and Board.
Okay, all right, 5.4, policy 700, facilities planning. Mr. Blue.
Public hearing for this policy as well.
All right. It's open to the public at this time for policy 700, or 7100, correction,
Yes, sir.
facilities planning. Again, no public present. Public hearing is now closed. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve the policy.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Will there be a need for discussion? All in favor, Ms. Gibson?
Approve.
Mr. Alford?
Approve.
Ms. Williamson?
Approve.
Ms. Bell?
Approve.
I also approve policy 7100, facilities planning. It's been approved and adopted. All right.
Thank you, Brother
Thank
Chair and
you.
Board.
Thank you. All right. Superintendent items.
Okay, Mr. Chair and the board, I've got a couple of items I need to bring before you, but before I go, I'm going to ask Ms. Hill to come in and give you an update on our numbers that she's been giving you at each meeting. Our enrollment numbers, where we are.
Our numbers are changing daily. And We appreciate what the schools are doing to try to get more students back at school because they're trying to make sure students are getting the best education possible. And so as of this past week, we currently have 429 students in distance learning. We are down to 42 students in My District Virtual. And for the school choice option of homeschool or charter school, we have 96 students who were new in those options this year. And so I combined the charter and homeschool category there. It had not been combined, and I had not been reporting on the number of students who had left the traditional schools to go to charter, and so I combined that with homeschool since that's how the state combines it. So we are down to 429 in distance learning. We started off with over 500, and we started off with approximately 120 in My District Virtual, and now we're down to 42. So those numbers are changing. The schools are trying to, get as many students back in a face-to-face environment as quickly as possible. Just having the space is kind of difficult, but we're working through that. In the last 2 weeks, we've moved 2 teachers from virtual to face-to-face to try to accommodate where we had large numbers over the class size. So we will be sending out this week the sign-up form for the parents to choose what they want to do for second semester.
Ken, I just need a clarification. The My District Virtual, that would be like the ones that we're not providing, some other agencies providing,
Right, NEFAC is providing that.
and that's the one that they have to pass for us to get the
The
credit?
FTE, that's correct.
That's a lot less than the 120.
Yes.
What was there?
Now, most of those who left were not earning us any FTE. They were not being very successful.
Right. But it could have hurt us in the end if they would have stayed and
Right,
not
right.
passed.
Most of them, we were able to get back before the FTE window closed. However, there's probably about 10 that we did not get back in time, but we still are getting them back into school.
And if one's transferred from our district virtual, then it wouldn't affect the FTE because they still would have been within,
Right.
under our umbrella of the district.
Yes, sir. We look to have about, of those 429 that are there, we look to have about half of those come back in January. Now, I know that you probably have heard there's still question about if the governor is going to extend the executive order that allowed us to earn full FTE for our distance learning program. We're still waiting to hear if he's going to extend that. The Superintendent's Association has written him a letter asking him to extend it. Yeah, you have that, I think, there in front of you. If that is not extended, then there will only be, the option of coming back face-to-face or, My District Virtual, because we would not be able to get the full FTE funding to continue to do distance learning. So we're kind of waiting to hear something from the state about that.
So that ends in January,
The current,
distant learning.
unless the
Unless-
governor extends that executive order.
By chance, Ms. Hill, do you have the numbers for each school or not?
I can pull that up
Ms.
for you.
Hill. Is this the one? Okay.
I have to pull up the one that I send into the Department of Education. Okay. So what numbers are you looking for?
Just the student enrollment.
Okay, all right. Right now, there are 377 brick and mortar students at the high school, 124 distance learning. At the central school, there are 651 face-to-face students, 287 distance learning. At Lee Elementary, there are 140 face-to-face students, 2 who are currently enrolled under Madison County Central School in the distance learning. There are 120 at Pinetta Elementary who are face-to-face. And 13 who are participating in distance learning at the central school. At Greenville, there are 88 face-to-face students and 3 students who are in my district are in the distance learning program.
So where have the students gone to from these outlying school? I mean, are they homeschooled or?
I'm looking here, there were 22 who withdrew from Lee for either homeschool or charter school. 17 from Pinetta. Who went homeschool or charter school. 6 from Greenville. Hmm. 42 from Central and 9 from the high school.
I suspect that many of those are homeschooled because the charter school was pretty much full, wasn't it? I mean, weren't they capped at creative arts?
Yes, sir, but now as they had students who moved or
Right.
did something different, then they had a lottery and pulled students from other schools. They probably took in about 20 K to 5. But yes, the numbers are lower. Now, that is without pre-K.
Okay,
Pre-K is not figured in there.
so that may bring it up to where it's a little bit higher.
At the outlying schools,
It's around
Greenville
18.
doesn't have pre-K, but Lee and Pinetta both are 16, 17 in pre-K. Central had a huge drop in pre-K this year. Their numbers dropped drastically, just parents not wanting to
Send them.
their pre-Kers to school. Any other questions?
Thank you for that information.
Yes, thank you for that.
Welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. A couple other things. The football team at the high school will be going to their first round of playoffs on November the 13th, and that's going to be a home game. And after that, if they progress any further, they'll be away.
They'll be home on that day?
On November 13th, they'll be home.
Okay.
Yeah, that show is Saturday, it's on a Saturday.
November 13th,
Should be a Friday.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, okay, I see it.
okay.
I was on 2021. Getting ahead of myself.
Don't do us like that. Okay, what I've started doing at our last admin meeting, we went through the ethics training again, and so we'll be doing it at each site. I'll be doing it at each site, but we personally went through the ethics training with all the district administrators last week. We started our strategic planning, and we've had day one of strategic planning, and it's going to take several days because we're in the process preparing for district accreditation, and so we'll have day two on the 12th of November. And as Ms. Hill has alluded, report cards did go home today, and for our distance learning students, we will be mailing those report cards. And parents will be given a chance opportunity to change their educational preference for second semester, okay? You need to understand, second semester begins January 18th. And so when they say, can they come back to school in January, January the 18th is the magic date, not the first week in January. Because our semester's not gonna end until sometime in January. We've got that FAST meeting sometime in January. I think some of y'all have signed up for it. It's virtual this year.
In December?
December.
It's in
December.
December. Okay. We need to thank our chairman, Reggie Daniels. This will be his last official meeting. Thank him for a job well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next meeting will be a Tuesday, November 17th at 6 o'clock, not a Monday.
Back to the meeting, the 1st of December through Florida School Board Association. Do we do that as a group, or do we do it individually on the computer? Is that?
What we can do, and I may be here and I may not be here, okay? It depends on tomorrow. But if I'm here, we can do a showing in here if you want to.
The only
I
thing
want to, because I don't
Yeah.
have good internet
The
service.
only
Okay.
thing is, we would all have to go to the same, but maybe they're doing it where it's just one thing they're offering. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't
but,
care. I mean, we can go to the same. We can pick.
I'd like to do it in here
We've
because my
got a fall
internet's not too.
meeting, most of these meetings now are virtual, and we've got a fall meeting, and we're showing it in here tomorrow. And so if you would like to have it shown, I can schedule it regardless.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I mean,
I've got to do it down here, and I'd rather do it
Okay.
that way.
Miss, she'll make sure it's shown in here.
Okay, and I'd like to maintain my certified school board member status. And in order for me to do that, I've got to attend that.
And you've got to do the ethics training online this year.
Oh,
right.
yes, yes.
Mr. Daniels, do you have to do that this year?
Yeah, I think you.
Ethics training.
I doubt it.
I
Technically, you're
think you
supposed
do.
to,
I
yeah.
think you do.
Well, yeah, I can do it. I mean, no problem.
All right, do it with a
It's
smile.
online, so yeah.
Okay, and one other thing I need to just inform you, Lee Elementary School is doing a fundraiser coming up shortly. It's legit. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, all right, Mr. Reeves.
Just a couple of things. Superintendent mentioned that the next meeting is going to be on Tuesday, the 17th. Of course, the reason for that is that statutorily, school boards are required to have an organizational session. You're required to have, on election years, you're required to have an organizational session 2 weeks after Election Day. So Election Day will be tomorrow, 2 weeks after tomorrow is
Okay.
the 17th. That's why we're doing it on the 17th. We don't have a choice in that. Now, what we had decided to do is rather than have before, everybody, all the people who got elected or had their new terms would meet at one time, and there'd be a big to-do and be sworn in. What we decided to do for the next meeting is we're just going to have Judge Browning come and swear in everybody here. So it'll be 2 school board members and the superintendent, swear in everybody right at the beginning, and then we'll go into the organizational session. Now, the organizational session, of course, the superintendent chairs, and then y'all would elect a chair and a vice chair. And what else we do? There's just chair.
No scheduled meetings.
And schedule meetings, I'm sorry, schedule the meetings. Now, next year, when we're scheduling the meetings, that's not an election year, and so your organizational session doesn't have to be on a Tuesday. It can be one of our regular meetings. Normally, we do the second meeting in November, but it can be set up that way. Now, I will not be able to be here for that meeting. Mr. Schnicker has agreed to come here, and he's going to cover this meeting. I'll be having fun in Jefferson County. But anyway, just so everybody knows what's going on. Any questions about the organizational session or any of that? And what I'll do, if it's okay, we normally do like a list of meeting days, just doing the same meeting days that we've done, and I'll go ahead and email that to Becky, and then we can, that'll be in your packet. You don't have to approve those days, but you'll have them in front of you, where you can see those days, and that's when you need to look and see, does it conflict with anything? Does there, are any of them a holiday? But anyway, that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions of me.
All right, Ms. Gibson.
Okay, I'd like to again thank our superintendent, Mrs. Joseph, for leading our district during these difficult times. I'd also like to thank all of our employees for what they do each and every day for our students. These have been very difficult times for everyone. Okay. I'd like to thank Mr. Daniel for what you've done as chair. You've been a job well done, and it was a pleasure working with you. I mean, we were elected at the same time, and we've been through a lot of training together, and I've gotten to know you, and I appreciate your professionalism.
Thank you.
And I think that's what I had to say tonight. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Alford.
I too want to thank Ms. Joseph for accepting our appointment when we nominated her to be the superintendent to fill in, and then the governor appointed her. I appreciate all your hard work and during this time we went through. I also want to thank her for starting the ethics training with the administration and leading on with the staff. I do appreciate that. And again, always from the beginning, I've said that I want to do what's right for the students and for the teachers, and that if we can prevent a teacher from getting in trouble, that's what we want to do. Teachers are hard to find, and it's not that we as a board do not want people to have relationships with students. We just want the relationships to be appropriate and within the eyes of professional practice. And I appreciate Ms. Joseph for doing that. I want to thank Mr. Daniels for being the chairman this past year, for everything and being the chairman. No one really knows what that's like unless you've been one. And it's good as long as everything's sailing smoothly. Once trouble comes up, then it's bad news for you. But I do appreciate all your work, and it is extra duties being the chairman. No one really realizes that until you are, but I do appreciate everything you have done and did for the district over the past 4 years. I want to make a comment to an article that appeared in the paper back on October the 21st concerning how our fund balance came up. I was quoted in saying that I questioned how it had come up that amount. I just want to say that at one point we were very low to the point where we had to file with the state in a state of emergency, below the 3%, if not below the 2%. At the end of June of 2019, we were at 5%, and furlough days had been taken at that point, which brought us up to that, and rebates with our insurance brought us up to that. From the 5.8% to the over 10%, it's great that we were there at this point, Since then, I went to the finance and spoke with Ms. Joseph, and they both added light to how we came up to it. And again, if we take into account, and I really wasn't thinking at that point, we basically were out of school for 5 months. And during that time, you didn't have diesel costs, which diesel is very expensive here in the district. Our costs for diesel and the amount we pay out, we didn't have bus repairs. Electricity would have been cut during that time period. We didn't have sub pay. In talking to the finance, we're using our grants more efficiently, thanks to Ms. Joseph and her team in the finance department of making sure that we're paying for as much as we possibly can out of grants. And we've eliminated contracts, which would have added to savings, adding up to the percentage we're saving. And we've cut, we no longer have chiefs in the district, and we have directors. So all of that in total would have come up to the savings. And again, the pandemic of us being out probably helped us get up to that point. But on the flip side, not knowing what's ahead of us in the future, I'm glad we do have that 10 point, whatever percent, 10.5 or 8 that we 4 that we have to make it where it will be a cushion, because we do not know what's ahead of us in January or whenever they do our next budget. So I just wanted to clarify that and be as transparent as we can to the public of that's where a lot of savings came. People on the street would be surprised at how much our electricity costs are at our big schools. Central and the high school alone will make people shudder of how much we're paying a month for electricity in those places. And our diesel costs and bus repairs are also costly. So, and sub pay, we employ a lot of substitutes, and all of that would have come from the general fund. So, again, I do think that we have things in place where we're saving money, and thankfully we are, because we don't know what's ahead of us. And I appreciate everything that everyone in the district has done, from the finance department to classroom teachers, and trying to save electricity and all we can. That is all, and I want to congratulate the football team for continuing to go, and maybe we can keep going until we have a state championship again this year. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Alford. Ms. Williamson.
Yes, I too would like to thank Ms. Joseph for accepting our appointment and the governor's appointment to get us through this term. And I would like to congratulate Ms. Gibson on completing this term and starting another one. And Mr. Daniels, thank you so much for serving. It's been a pleasure to serve with you, and we appreciate all the work you've done. There's been some rewarding times and some very hard times, and we've putted on through. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Bell.
Yes, Mr. Reggie, I think you did an outstanding job as a chairman. I enjoyed serving on the board with you, and I wish you many blessings in your future. I would like to thank everybody for all of their hard work and job well done.
All right, and thank you as well, Ms. Bell. And I just wanted to thank everybody, in general. I hate to get into going down the line or a list or anything, but, it's been a roller coaster. I guess that's the first thing come to mind. But it was a good ride, though, a good roller coaster ride, because being able to do it with what I call a good, with what I consider family. We're like family, where we, just like with your siblings, you fight, you argue, but you also laugh and celebrate together. And what I really enjoyed about being able to serve with this particular board has been, we've had differences, we've been on the same page, and we have been on different pages. But at the end of the day, at the end of the meetings, we were able to walk away, in love. I'm reminded of the cartoon where they, you know, Bugs Bunny, where they argued and they fought and they fight. You know, they would fight throughout the episode, but at the end of the day, at the time clock, they'd all hug and, you know, and enjoy each other and bid each other farewell. So I just want to thank everybody, all of the staff, superintendent, administration, the teachers, staff, bus drivers, you know, everybody that makes up this wonderful district, our board attorney, just everybody that makes up the district, because, you know, you have proven that, a district at the size of Madison can come together and make it happen. We've seen a low point, a couple of years ago. We were at a low point, but we came together, and here we are. You know, we worked our way out of that low point. There were a lot of emotions, but we're in a pretty decent position right now with the fund balance. I know we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it's just good to be at this point after looking back of what we went through. And again, Ms. Gibson, Mr. Alford, Ms. Williamson, Ms. Bell, I couldn't have served with a better set of board members. I appreciate you all for putting up with me and my attitude and my ways from time to time. And I appreciate you all, and I wish you nothing less than the best in the future. I also wanted to congratulate Mr. Frankie Carroll. I don't think I publicly congratulated him for being elected to serve District 4. So I congratulate Mr. Frankie Carroll, and I know he's very capable, and I know he'll do a wonderful job. I'll be checking in on you guys. For those of you who don't know, I am currently employed with Tallahassee Community College. I have been with them since August as an academic success coach. And so I've been over there for a little while, and trying to feel my way through over there for right now. So that's what I'll be doing for now, for the time being at least. But Madison is my home. I'll be around. I'll still love this district like I have over the last 4 years, and I'll be participating in some ways or another. And I was just thinking, ever since I've been on the board, this football team has basically won a championship. And so, I want to continue to thank them, the coaches and players and all of the folks who did a remarkable job academically over the district. I know, we don't put a whole lot of weight on those who excel academically, but we have some very bright, smart students in this district, and I applaud them just as much as if not more than we do the athletes. So on that note, I'm thankful for each and every one of you all. Continue to pray for me and my family, and we'll continue to do the same for you all. With that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, Ms. Gibson?
Approve.
Mr. Alford?
Approved.
Ms. Williamson?
Approve.
Ms. Bell?
Approve.
I also approve 5-0, meeting adjourned.